students are not present, so they can actually watch the class later. So again, going back to the multidimensionality of our leadership, okay? We must remember flexibility is key. But here, remember we talked last class when we talked about metacognition, we talked about mindset. So if we do have the right mindset, if we're prepared, if we are ready to be aware that everything can change, that nothing which may have worked in the past may work again in the future, then you are already one step ahead, okay, of those people, well, not being prepared, unfortunately, okay? All right, so let's begin with some facts, okay, that I'm sharing. Oh, and by the way, all this information, I can't remember if I shared the name of the book. I got all this information for a wonderful book. It's a 600 pages book. I believe you have it in your resources, okay? I will tell you at the end where we got it from. It's a wonderful book. It's huge, but I tried to summarize only the most important facts for you, only to focus on those facts, okay? First of all, we have talked about the fact that in order for a leader to be successful, there are two things that need to come together, and which we have analyzed separately before. First, the characteristics per se of the leader, okay? The traits, what he is like, his personality, his skills, his abilities, the use of the strategy the leader makes, etc. But on the other hand, we also realize and we also are aware of the fact that in order to become a leader, we need followers. But we also said that you need at least one follower, remember? You don't need to actually have this bunch of followers like now people, famous people on the web do have. As long as you are a role model or a sample for somebody, you are already a leader. And actually, we're going to see that in a video today, okay? Now, another fact, the same leader, as I already mentioned, may be successful in one situation. And I'm sorry to say this, you may be a failure in another situation. And that is okay. Actually, you will see, and we have talked about failure, remember? We have talked about how failure actually is a part of the real life situation. And sorry, this is the phone call, one of the phone calls I'm expecting. Give me a minute, please. Give me a minute. Okay, it wasn't a call, but I already told them that they should call back. Thank you so much, and I apologize for that. Okay, so again, as I was mentioning, failure, we have talked about the importance of failure. Failure will be part of your life when you actually focus on developing as a leader. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not saying anything is going to be bad or everything is going to go wrong, because that's not the way it's going to be. However, little failures, if you have the right mindset, will help you become every time a better leader, etc. And we have talked about this again. These are facts that we have talked about before. Behaviors that work for one leader may not work for others. And this is so important again. The more leaders you follow, the better choices you will make, because you may adopt some characteristics and skills from some of them, but not all of them are going to work. So you will create your own combination. On Twitter, for example, I follow a lot of educational leaders, but I also follow a lot of business management and leadership experts. So why is this? Because as you know, my professional profile is a mixture of education with business, right? So it is very important that I create my own combination. So also, remember, I have told you, be unique. Make sure that whatever you have, whatever is the characteristics of your professional profile, is unique. So you will always be special to someone, okay? Very good. Let's move on. Some leaders, same leaders, same team, may be successful today, but not tomorrow. And we already mentioned that. And as I wanted to share this little image we have there, because a leader, first of all, you have to be a considerate person, but you need to also have consistency. And I know you are right now finding yourselves and you are creating right now your own personality, and you will be creating it and sometimes changing it as you move on, and that's okay. However, make sure that whatever is your core is that you have a role model, somebody to follow, an idea. You have an idea of, from all these leaders that I've seen. For example, I know many of you follow, I don't know, Elon Musk, for example. Okay. And you have decided that this is kind of a role model for you. As long as you have this clear, whatever it changes, whatever it moves, again, your core is going to be the same. Okay. Let's move on. Mm, Okay. I'll give you a few seconds to read this, and then I'm going to open the microphones to see what you have to say about it. Okay. So the key word here is uncertainty. Uncertainty. We can only be sure, and I mean, even before 2020, this was real. Well, now it's more real than ever, right? When you feel comfortable with uncertainty, you don't know what's going to happen. And I have shared with you, right, that even though I have my plans, I already paid for my schooling. In the first payment, I'm already accepting my scholarship in Vancouver. But guess what? Anything can happen. And next week, I may be getting information, an email, something. Guess what? You're not going to Canada. Okay, I have the right mindset. I try to have the right mindset and the right mental health to accept that there are things that I can control, but I cannot control everything. And something that I appreciate and love about 2020 and 2021 is actually darme por vencida, but not in a bad, negative way. It's just letting go. That's it. There's nothing else I can do. And this has helped me be happier with whatever comes. Because whatever comes, now I try to see it as positively as I can. Because there's nothing else I can do. But it is my choice how I choose to see that. So, uncertainty. When you open yourself to the fact, to uncertainty, infinite possibilities open up in your life. It means fear is no longer a dominant. Because I know many of you right now in your mind, in your head, you cannot sleep. You have anxiety because you're thinking, what am I going to do now that I'll be done with school? How am I going to get my título? Am I going to stay here? Am I going to move? Am I going to stay here forever? And all these questions go through your mind, right? And trying to get control over our lives, of course, it gives us certainty. And I think it is good. It is healthy. However, also learning that there are many things we cannot control, and at the same time, being open to new possibilities. That is the key. And trust me, I'm telling you this from my heart and as a leader in development myself. Okay, so I'm going to give you again a few seconds to read through this, and then we're going to start reading together. Okay. So if you can write down in your notes three different facetas, digamos así, three faces a normal leader usually has in any organization. First, as an individual one-on-one leader, okay, and I'll explain this in a minute. Then as a team leader, but also as an organizational leader. First of all, even if you're in a company, even if you have a team, whatever you were, whatever your position is, you will always have the chance to influence at least one person around you. And I have told you this before, even at home right now, even with your friends, you always have the chance to influence people around you. And I hope you're writing this down because sometimes we do not give importance to the value and the power we have as human beings with people around us. And this type of leadership, okay, it requires for you to remember and to focus sometimes on advising, giving advice or helping this one person only. One task, one person is usually one situation. Usually the time frame of the solution is very close, is very limited. The leader focuses on follower task accomplishment because you can actually, oye amigo, siempre sí pudiste, ¿cómo te fue amigo con lo que platicamos? You see? So you do this already, okay? And it has a psychological nature, sensing nature, and I will add that it has an emotional connection, okay? Even if this is your employee, even if this is just your colleague, if this is someone you're influencing, usually there are feelings, there's connection, an emotional connection there, okay? Then the second one for teams, multiple tasks, because now we have different people, team or groups, several and simultaneous situations at the same time. So you become a multitasker. Intermediate time break. Why? Because every person has a different time limit on when or how to reach their own goals. You can even set a same goal for a whole team, but you cannot expect everybody to meet that goal exactly the same time, because we have talked about this. We're talking about human beings, right? And it's better to have this clear. The leader focuses then not on the success of one person at a time, but on the success of the whole team at a time. See? It's social, psychological, and involves group dynamics. And of course, it is emotional, but it's different. This is given support, giving usually cheerleading on a whole group, and actually not only admitting when they reach the success, but actually helping them realize where they're going, but as a team all together. And now the organizational leader, that's a more complete situation. And usually your range of influence goes further from just certain a small number of individuals as in a team. Usually the type of organizational leadership focuses on mission, purpose, and a vision. I'm sorry, mission, purpose, vision, and a strategy as a whole for a whole organization. Organization of community, many simultaneous situations, of course. It's like having many teams. Long time frame, the leader focuses on survival and success of the whole organization, not only a whole team. So trust me, all of you will be developing little by little. We usually begin as individual leaders, we move on into team leaders, but at the end, we hope that you develop your organizational leadership as well. Okay? Remember again, don't forget, we're talking about the roles of leaders. So we're adding information to some of the previous information we have talked about in the theories, etc. I'm going to give you again a few seconds to read through this before we start explaining. Okay, I like this chart very, very, very much because what we just explained, the individual leadership, the team leadership, and the organizational leadership is put in the frame of you as a leader. Self-leadership, which we will explain in a minute, and transcendent leadership. When we said, or the figure mentions, that we will always, in your work, and you will go through this, a leader goes through a continuum of leadership choices. Of course, it makes sense. We will have to move from one to another. But the difference between who handles the individual leadership, team leadership, organizational leadership in an effective way for everybody involved has to do, and again, this is why I shared this with your own self-leadership, but then we go to what transcendent leadership is. And the difference is your self-leadership is when we have, like the exercises we did last class, remember? But the metacognitive exercises, that was developing your own leadership, knowing how you learn. learning how you can become better learners, learning, that's the self-leadership part. But the transcendent leadership is how that individual growth affects and influences like an umbrella absolutely everybody around you, not only physically around you, but even virtually around you, you know? And there's something that almost makes me cry every time when we talk about leadership, and it's you as leaders, and I have told you this before, you can change lives, you can inspire, you see? And I do believe that you being in this class, I have told you before, I hope you realize by the end of the semester the power and the value you have already and you will have in the future. You know what I'm saying? It will be in your hands to change the lives of those around you just by being an inspirational person yourself. You see? We'll go to this topic again because that's the transcendent leadership, okay? And of course, something we'll want to get to. And these are the description of both. First of all, the leadership, the self-leadership. In any situation in which action is needed, the desired action is uncertain, but another person is unavailable. I'll explain this in a minute. The leader focuses on determining what to do and needs to muster the energy, the spirit, the strength, courage, drive, and time to do it. And it's psychological, spiritual, and psychological in nature. I will explain this. We're going to compare it to transcendent, and then it's going to be easier to understand. Transcendent. Every interaction with every person, group, organization, or community affects those people. Every time frame from intermediate and forever. I have told you this before. I'm already transcending because many of you, I don't remember if it was this class. No, it was the other class, the public relations. Somebody told me, I'm going to cry. Teacher, I think this is great because we have to remember that what we're learning right now, we're going to leave to the next generation. And I almost cried because then I thought, of course, I will be here, of course, by then, but I'm transcending through you because you will be influencing those people around you. And this person, this student, I can't remember honestly who she was. She even said, we're going to be also affecting those behind us, those generations coming behind us. In that moment, again, you know me, I felt, yes, we're achieving the goal of transcending. So I hope you also remember and you start thinking about the fact that everything you do not only will influence those around you, but also those generations coming behind you. You see how great this is? Oh, it's amazing. The leader focuses on internal congruence and integration, posts on operating values, behaviors, statements. The leader focuses on external congruence and integration. Again, I'll explain in a minute. Share vision, ideals, aspirations, values, and joint action is psychological, sociological, is spiritual, and psychological in nature. So it's easier to understand this, okay? When you talk about the self-leadership is going and working in your emotional, psychological growth, health, personal, professional. But the transcendent is when that personal self-development and leadership reflects on everything you do. Se convierten en un faro de luz. You see? And that's why I wanted to touch base on these topics because I think they are very deep. Now, we have talked also, this is another role. We're going to change a little bit the idea of the role of leaders. Remember in one of the theories, a ver quién se acuerda cómo se llama esta teoría. We talked about the fact that there are leaders that sometimes focus on the task, and there are leaders that sometimes focus on the people. Remember? I'm going to give you some seconds to read through this, y por ahí a ver quién se acuerda cómo se llama esta teoría. Go to your notes. Por ahí lo tienen. Did anybody find how this theory is called? Extra point for whoever remembers or finds it. I'll give you time to look. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the different focus. As we already said, it's not that you are a person who will always be described as a leader who will always focus on tasks, or you will always focus on people. That's not how it
Teacher,
works. Yes, go ahead.
there is the situational leadership theory or not?
A part of the situational, but there's another one. There's another.
Your mic is off, Ada.
Again, can you repeat that? Yes, somebody, sorry, yes, my mic was off. Thank you. It has to do with situational, but it's actually.
Blake amount theory?
Again?
Blake amount theory?
Yes, and what's the name? Does it have a name?
I don't know.
I believe it is, y si no, corríjanme, maybe I'm wrong. Contingency theory? A ver, ya me hicieron dudar, ¿eh? Can somebody look if it's situational or maybe you're right, my dear Jesus Eduardo. Maybe it is situational and I'm getting it all mixed up with contingency theory. Remember when we had the matrix, when we saw about the task? I believe it was contingency, but maybe you're right. Jesus Eduardo, can you check just your notes and confirm with me if it's situational?
I have here the contingency theory says, suppose that a leader's effectiveness is contingent on whatever their leadership style suits a particular situation. No matter how successful a leader is, there will always be a particular situation that will change them, and particular on their circumstances, in addition to their personal skills.
Then I believe you are then right. Maybe this, but the situational, I think you're right. There's also another chart, remember, in which we even talked, maybe I'm getting it all mixed up. Maybe you're right. Remember, there's another one where we have five, there's a chart again, and there are 5 levels. Y uno era the country club, remember? Chequen sus notas. The country club, in which they are so focused on the people que dejan que nadie alcance las metas organizacionales. You may remember that. What's the name of this theory? The one where it says the country club. I do remember that. The country club leadership style. Yes, go ahead.
I think it's the behavioral theory.
That's it. Behavioral theory. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's it. It is a combination. So, ¿quién dijo behavioral theory? Para darle el extra punto a Jesús Eduardo y a behavioral theory. No vi quién fue. Thank you, Minerva. Thank you. Got it. So again, this is a mixture of choices that we will have to make. And again, it doesn't make you a better or worse leader to be only focused on leader or only focused on task, but to be able to switch from one situation to another. When you are, of course, focused on people, okay, you are most focused on people-related behaviors. So these are some, I told you, some real examples about things you can do, okay? If you think you need to improve your people skills, your people abilities, your leadership with people, maybe you don't feel you're good there, follow these suggestions. Ask people for suggestions. What do you think? Shut up, listen, encourage. Oh, that was a good idea. Thank you, really appreciate that. I never thought about it. Ya ven, les estoy contando mis tips. Eso es lo que yo hago, right? And it works, okay? Allow followers to control. Just like I told you, I'm not sure I can remember all the theories, but you have your notes there. So you tell me if I'm right or wrong, you know? Reassure. Yes. Again, affirm, confirm, show appreciation, disclose, facilitate followers' problems, press task accomplishment, and get out of the way. Que ustedes solitos se encuentren su camino. So you see, these are things that I do follow or try to follow. Sometimes I forget. I am more focused on people. But then the activities and the actions that I need to improve is to focus more on the task. Okay. And I do agree and accept that these are things I need to work on. Okay. In this case, control what is done. Sometimes I don't control very well. I know. Set goals, set standards. I'm not very good sometimes at doing this as well. Set and reinforce deadlines. I know, you know me. Said how work is evaluated. Ah, you know this. I hate evaluation quizzes because I think they're so subjective. But again, I need to improve this. I promise I will find a way to make peace with evaluations and quizzes because I know they're necessary, and I will need to make this my upcoming goal and task, maybe. Define followers' roles, plan work. I mean, I do have my plan work. I do have the whole semester planned, but sometimes I focus more on the people than on the task. I know. Determine priorities, organize resources, and monitor to assure success. I know I am more people-oriented. I need to work on my task-related behaviors, and that is my goal myself. I hope this chart has also helped you focus on what you have to improve also as leaders, okay? We have another one, the 4 roles of leaders. And again, I'm going to give you a few seconds to read through this, okay? And then we'll discuss. Okay, so the 4 roles of leaders. And again, we switch from one to another, or we should be able to switch from one to another, depending on circumstances, situations, team characteristics of the team, of the people we're working with, teams, etc. Okay, so a facilitator working with others to achieve results. And actually, I think we're going to see a video. I can't remember if we're going to see it today or if it is in the video that we watched last class at the end of the class. Your role as a leader is to make sure, no, we're going to watch it today. There is a sport in the Olympics, a ver si alguien se acuerda cómo se llama, que avientan como a weight and somebody has to be in front of the weight, como barriendo, como limpiando el piso, you know, like making the clear space so that this weight can advance, una ruedita que va avanzando y que vaya llegando a donde tiene que llegar como puntos y demás. I honestly do not remember the name of this sport. If somebody is good enough or has the, you know, this sport in mind, please share it with the rest of us because I can't remember what's called. De hecho, lo usan mucho en los winter games, always in the winter games. I don't know. I think it has to do with the ice. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. Now that I'm moving to Vancouver, I will probably have to become an expert on that, and then I can share that with you, but I don't know right now. So anyway, the role of a leader then is to clean everything ahead of all the situations taking place with your team of people so that those solutions can come in an easier way. And actually in the video, we're going to see Mr. Welch saying, our job is to actually try to clear up the bureaucracy and all the administrative BS that sometimes there is in companies and organizations in order to make for your team, for your followers, for the people working for you, easier, to make it easier for them to achieve their goals. You see? The facilitator. The visionary, of course, inspiring organizational and individual growth. Don't forget that. That is the power you have, the superpower you have. You inspire with your own life. You inspire with your own actions. Tactician, ensuring business results are achieved, more focused on the task, as I have mentioned, and something I need to work on. The contributor, applying personal capabilities to achieve results. So as opposed to the facilitator does all this, but gets away, you know, from the way of the people and just lets them usually reach their own goals on their own. But the contributor actually walks together hand by hand with these people that you're trying to lead. And again, some people remember we also talked about that. Oh, in the situational leadership, we talked about how this, it's actually, viene como una curvita, así, a ver si se acuerdan. And it actually said that at the beginning, we need to actually be very close to people who are just starting a task that they don't know. And then as time passes, we're going to let them free, you know, towards the time, but also we're going to be checking, we're going to be making sure they don't need help. So again, as you see, these are roles that will be switching from one to another in different circumstances. The objective of today's class is just to have this clear enough, so that we can also find our strengths, but also our weaknesses, and which are those things we still need to work on, just like I'm trying to find those leadership roles that I still need to work on. Okay, all right. Okay, so in interculturality, we add an additional challenge. From all these roles that we have talked about, I would like you right now to take a few minutes, and I'm going to shut up now for 2 or 3 minutes, honestly, but I need you to really write down your thoughts and reflections on this. This is your task. From all these roles that we have mentioned, that we have remembered, that we have talked about, adding the interculturality situation that we have discussed in other classes. Remember, we have talked about local, national, intercultural differences, right? Okay. Of course, we have the international, global, multicultural differences. But what I'm going to ask you to do right now is take some time, and I'm going to be calling your names at the end of this couple of 3, 4, or 5 minutes. So you write your reflection. How is this analyzing the different roles of leaders? The situational leadership that we have mentioned, the contingency leadership theory that we have mentioned, all those theories. That's why I said go back to your notes. How does this relate then to the interculturality factor? Of course, it is key, and it's even more important than ever. And when in the 80s, the 90s, people will talk about leadership. Remember, we analyzed those theories. We didn't have the interculturality or globalization phenomenon that we have right now, right? And I personally, this is my personal opinion, I personally do not believe that those theories took into consideration so many different characteristics in culture in all these people working with us. So I would like you to take some notes and write a small paragraph on this combination, this phenomenon. How does analyzing the roles of leaders affect, or it's more relevant now than ever because of the interculturality of our business around the world? That is your task. I'm going to repeat again. Write down a reflection. I'll give you 3 to 5 minutes in silence, but I'm going to be asking you, okay? Alonso, Erika, Arlette, I'm going to be asking your names. Share with us your thoughts and reflections, the ones you're writing right now. What does this reflection on the roles of leaders have to do with the interculturality that we nowadays have in our business all around the world? Of course, in Mexico, locally, but all around the world. This relationship, okay? 3 to 5 minutes in silence so you can write down your reflection on this. Go.